Welcome once again to the Bills and Bones podcast. I'm Geo, and I'm here as always my co-host PC. Today we have a first-time guest, Nate. We started Bills and Bones to talk football for the fans with a focus on PC's team, the Buffalo Bills, and my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. This show is brought to you by Curl Up and Dye Hair Salon. You've heard you can't put lipstick on a pig. Well, we do it every day. So we're going to start with the Bills. What do you
2-0,
got
baby.
for us?
2-0 with a masterful game plan. But before we go any further, Nate, just want to welcome you to the show. Get ready for some serious ribbing. I like to go after Raiders fans every chance I get, even though this week it may not be very easy because you guys get that W. So welcome to the show.
You want to give us some history on you with the Raiders?
I'm excited for the Raiders. I went heavy on the Bills notes just because I figured PC was going to gun real hard, so... You know, I had to have my
So how
Bills
long have you been a
talk there.
Raiders fan?
My whole life, since I was a kid. I mean, you know, motorcycles, face tattoos. Where else can I go? You know, nobody else wants me. But it was that whole mystique growing up, man. You know, they were just tough and they played different and didn't care. You know, Howie Long, I wore 75 all the way through high school. He was always my favorite. You know, it was just that edge. It was the way they played. You know, everything meant something to them.
I like that. A true Raiders fan. Now, did you come out of the womb with the tattoos, or is that something that you had to take care of yourself there? No, seriously, Nate, dog, we're glad to have you. We're really glad to have you.
You should see the top of his head. He just has a hat covering it all. He's got more. Yeah.
Oh,
this is his conservative look.
I love it. Oh yeah, baby. Oh my God. I cannot wait to see you on TV at one of these games now. This is going to be great. An actual real fan, baby. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I wore an Alzado jersey to work last Friday, and now I got to wear it every week until they lose.
How many Raiders jerseys you think you got?
12.
Nice. You got Bo in the rotation, or like
I got a Bo Jackson in there. I got a Ronnie Lott. I got a lot of throwbacks.
Nice. Love it. Bo's probably my only other favorite football player that didn't play for the Bills, so gotta respect
Bo Jackson's
that.
a hard guy to talk about because his career was so short. So he's not really Hall of Fame eligible. And, without that freak injury, what would he have done?
I think this show has been the most pro Bo Jackson podcast in the history.
Yeah,
so
we did a whole thing on him.
we love him. So, I mean, it was sad. But,
there's so many good stories that, like, he ran his 4.3 in the combine. He's like, well, I can run it faster, but you're going to have to move the lane. And they're like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm going to need more room to slow down. He's like, you only got like a 10-yard slowdown, and I think you ran like 4/10 faster or something.
No, that's why he ran through that tunnel in Seattle. Remember, that was
Yeah.
great. He ran like 90 yards, and he was like Forrest Gump all the way out to the street.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Nah, but yeah, I mean, just, and I'm sure you remember, Pete's a little younger, but obviously the 51-3 game doesn't happen if Bo doesn't get hurt. Yeah, so was I. I mean, if that doesn't happen,
I was there and got beat up by Bills fans. True
Well,
story. I was a young kid. I was like 15 years old.
They hope they weren't Irish looking, guys. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was super young. My brother, I was the 4 years they went were the 4 years I was in high school. I was 14, I think, I was super young, and
I was young.
Yeah, it was my freshman year, and obviously you never forget a night like that, but. There wasn't a lot of Raiders fans, but you guys always do travel. I mean, I do remember that from that game. So
they still do. If you watch the game last week, I mean, it was almost a dead split, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see. Obviously,
they become a traveling team now.
Oh my God!
They're much more of a traveling fan base now than I would say they were 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a lot more trendy. Obviously, we're older. I did a lot of road trips, Nate, back in the day. Did Indy a lot when they were in the division. We've been to New England well before they were great. It was a lot easier to get tickets. So, like, we would do those trips quite a bit. But now, I'm more of a destination guy. I got rid of the seasons, and I look forward to going to, Tennessee or Miami or possibly Indy this year.
That's going to be a whole nother conversation when the new stadium comes. You know, how many people are going to be priced out of season tickets? Guys that have had them 25, 30 years. What are they going to do with the seat licensing? And gosh, that's almost kind of robbery, man. Because you've already paid for it once through your taxes.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna have to pay 2 to 3 more times. That seems a
Well, I
little crazy
think
to me.
next week we'll probably have my father on, and he has a lot to say about that. And we've actually talked quite a bit about the licensing. And you're right; those middle of the road guys will be the ones that get bumped out for sure.
And there's ways to do it that works. I mean, it works in Green Bay. You almost have to get Willed season tickets in Green Bay.
Yeah,
and it's a small market. They could do it similarly.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Pagulas sell the team to the fans. So that's never going to happen.
No,
so I mean, obviously Green Bay made it out incredibly well in all of their decision making, and great for them. I just don't ever see another franchise doing that. Now, if they were to, and it was the Bills, it would be great. And I think my dad and my brother would invest immediately back into that, as would many people. But it's just it's tough. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But back to the game, and welcome, Nate. So, yeah, the game plan was incredible on defense. They did a great job mixing it up. A lot of confusing looks for Tua. You could see it quite a bit in the first half, obviously. The rotations were solid. You know, you had fresh defensive linemen out there quite a bit. And what was going on that, you know, I'm not too accustomed to out here is McDermott was rotating some cornerbacks in there as well. So you had Ingram and you had Elam seeing the field and getting an opportunity to be out there when Bernard and, you know, Douglas were there. So there was some mixing and matching, and it was extremely new for us to see, but it ended up working out in the long run, you know. Go ahead.
They played a lot of nickel coverage, it seemed like. So they were keeping all the backs fresh. You know?
I think we always do that, and now that Tehran is out, you're going to see that quite a bit. That's the one thing that G and I have talked a lot about leading into the season is just how deep this defense is. I mean, you've got young guys coming in and stepping up immediately, and that's
Especially
something.
when you guys have 4 injuries a week. I mean, if there was any weakness in your depth, like, you wouldn't be on the field anymore. I mean, it's amazing to me. It's like a play to be on your team.
Yeah, and it's a testament to the coaching staff too. Don't forget. I mean, you got to have the X's and O's, or what's it say? How's that saying go? It's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Johnnies and Joes. Well, on the Bills, it's a little bit of both, because we have some guys you don't even know that are in there playing. Guy from UB. Ingram went to the University of Buffalo. You know, a couple years ago, he was playing against, you know, Miami of Ohio. Now he's making an interception, pick 6, against the Dolphins on, you know, on Thursday Night Football. It's just, it was, things were going right for us right off the bat. His early interception, I know you guys watched. It set the tone for the rest of the night. That interception, even though, you know, we didn't, sometimes, you know, you could slow down, but as far as the game went, from that interception on, you could see that Tua was kind of second-guessing a lot of the reads that he was making, which was causing him to get off his mark.
I watched Tua all the way through college, and the SEC is a whole different ballgame than the NFL. You know, he looked good throwing some confusion and some of the things that he does, but, you know, playing University of Miami, Ohio every other week, and then playing a tough team every 3 weeks is far and away different than playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think it is. You have to have a higher level of football IQ. You know, Josh Allen's a perfect example of that. His football IQ is what brings him, I think, to the next level. You know, Tom Brady's a perfect example of that. If I'm a Bills fan, my concern isn't the defense. I'm extremely worried about the offense. Extremely.
Because of him getting hurt?
I think if Josh Allen gets hurt, your ship is sunk for one. I don't think James Cook is a standout running back. I don't think they have that strong, solid number 1 receiver.
Did you watch the game on Thursday?
I mean,
okay. I was just checking. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns and ran down their throat. I don't know.
I said the same thing last week on the show. So
87 yards on it was a walk. Josh had 150. I mean, we didn't even need him to do it.
149.
What happens when Josh Allen blows out his hamstring?
What happens if Mahomes does it? What happens if Crosby does it? I mean, it sucks when you lose your superstar athlete. You are shit out of luck.
I don't think they have the depth to get a conference championship. I just don't.
The Bills.
I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong.
Because Josh's possibility of being injured, is that what it is? or just in general? We don't have the horses.
If they do, it's a defense that's going to get them there. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they scored 34 and 31. I mean, Arizona just racked up 41 on a team that was supposed to be sweet. I mean, I don't know, man.
That was a shocker game. I'm never confident.
The Dolphins did not show up to play you this week either.
No.
I mean, Bills had a great game.
They haven't showed up in 6 years to play us.
They did not show.
And I'm not a Bills hater. Like I like the Bills. I mean,
sure.
I follow them so I can have somebody, just so I can talk about them. Because that's what everybody talks about at work. So I'm not a hater. I want to, I'd like to see. They're not in the Raiders conference, so I don't. I've got no dog in the fight.
Sure.
And I like to watch good football.
I think they just exposed Miami, to be perfectly honest with you.
Sure.
I don't think it is that they didn't show up. It's just their line is garbage. You saw them, and not only were they getting, dump trucked, their substitutes were in there so much that you didn't even know who, like, the consistent guy was supposed to be there in the first place. Oliver was incredible. He tore them up. We obviously got some rush. Von Miller. Back from the dead.
I was going to bring that up too, because
I love the guy that said, "Hey, I'll take the pay cut. You just give me the incentives, and if I earn it, then I get it." And here we are. This dude is already proving that he's got something left in the tank to continue to contribute on this defense, and that rotation helps him a great deal.
How would you like to have DeMar Hamlin after putting that hit on Tua? Like, how do you think that guy felt in the locker room?
Nate, I mean, it was the first thing I thought of. It was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of Hamlin taking out Tua, like, what the hell?
You couldn't write that story. That would have been an uncomfortable, because I'm sure
but it's been waiting to happen.
Nate, let me ask you something. I hear you say that, you got to chat it up with the people at work. How many of them are DeMar Hamlin haters?
Nobody really, because everybody wants that guy to win. I think.
Okay, because I come across so many people that want this guy to fail, and I just don't get it. And the last 2 games, he's led the team in tackles, and and it's not, as we've seen, it's an opportunistic defense. There are going to be plays to be made for him, and I'm not going to be surprised when I see that dude in the end zone once or twice. I think Buffalo's
a different market like that. It's a blue collar town. Where they want, it's Jim Kelly town. They want a Cinderella story. They want a guy to come out of nowhere and have some adversity, and succeed and do well.
I think there are people that are like that, and I 100% agree. But for whatever reason, I'm just tired of people dogging the dude. I mean, he didn't decide for all that stuff to happen to him. No. He became a celebrity basically overnight in the weirdest way possible.
I see a lot of Hamlin jerseys.
Yeah, all of last year he kind of rode the wave. But when it came back time to play football, I mean, when you don't hear a safety's name a lot, that means the dude's balling out. A friend of mine told me this, and he was right. He looks a lot like Micah out there. He just plays center field, and he doesn't let anything go over his head. He's going to be fine on this defense. Exactly.
If you're the deepest man in the field, and you can get up to your receiver. I mean, that's what a safety does. That's how you play the game. Now,
I mean, I feel like this season we're going to see a lot of games like that like those first 2, okay, where the Bills are trying to figure them out in the first half, and then as soon as they do and they make their adjustments, it's going to be very difficult for offenses to move the ball.
The Bills always play that way. For whatever reason, it's like Josh Allen needs to get going. Like, I remember, him for fantasy or even bets. Yeah, he's gonna throw that fans would count out the Bills in the first quarter. I'm like, no. When they come back from halftime, it's gonna be a completely new freaking team. Like, one thing that Bills do very well and McDermott does very well is adjusting. Like, the team that comes out on that field for second half of the Bills has always, every game I've ever watched them, adjusted to that team. No matter what the plan was that they might have showed up, to play that first quarter. One of the things I think that makes McDermott successful and makes him such a good defensive guy too is he doesn't commit to a plan. He makes a plan going into that game.
Right.
If the plan has to change, great. We don't care. We're going to change it. And that tool is a very useful tool for the Bills. And the Dolphins was no exception. But even in your Hardigan, even like your KC games, where KC does the same thing, KC adjusts too. That's one of the reasons why I like watching KC and Bills. Yeah, is they're both like adjusting to each other as the game goes on, and just amps up and up.
Living here, watching Buffalo play New England twice a year when Belichick was coaching, he was a guy who never made adjustments really. Like this was his plan.
Yeah.
And that was what he was going to do, and he was going to enforce his will and impose it.
Well, the adjustments came from Brady doing audibles on the field. Those were the adjustments. Brady would just run the team for him on that end.
But that's football IQ.
And he ran the defense. Don't forget about that. That guy changed the way that a lot of teams played. And you're talking about something that you guys both said something earlier about the key injuries. You got out. Terrell Bernard went out this game, okay? And in comes Balin Spector. Other than when they made the substitution, Spector came in there, he was lost, and that's when Miami scored the touchdown. They took advantage of him immediately. After that, kid can fly. He was moving from side to side, making tackles all night long. I was very impressed to see him come in right away and contribute. Obviously, with Teron Johnson being down, they're moving guys in and out of that position as well. Cam Lewis has done a great job and continues to do that. And then obviously Milano, with Milano being gone,
that's a big loss for them.
It's a killer.
It didn't really seem to.
It hasn't yet. Not yet, Nate. There are some teams that are going to. Who's the thing that I would be concerned about, down the stretch is a team that's going to run the ball and stuff it down your throat. But the truth is, there aren't many teams like that anymore, and you're not going to score tons of points doing it. So we'll see. I like the way that things
I liked how Shakir showed up. I
I
liked Shakir. I was kind of surprised they didn't lean on. I guess they didn't really need to, but I was expecting lean more on Kincaid a little bit more than they did. They didn't really need to. So,
I think they're holding some of their plays back, dude.
If they don't have to show it all, then why?
Think about it. That game.
They don't have everything out yet.
You guys just made a great point. They make awesome adjustments at halftime because if they play like shit that first half, they need to do it. Well, guess what? It was 24-10. Everything was working. So those coaches were very well prepared, and they kept everybody focused. And
it's a huge difference in the NFL.
Well, it has been this year. For us, it's been unbelievable.
The athletes are all. If you look at combine numbers and things like that, they're all very close on paper. Sure. So it's the guys that are coachable and the guys that want to learn and the guys that are taking care of their bodies and eating right and recovering right. If he's got them guys bought into that system, which he seems to do, that seems to be one of the things the Buffalo's coaching staff is really good at.
Huge.
Is the recovery and the nutrition, and
that's what makes the injury thing even more shocking. They're all like health nuts, and they're all getting injured somehow. That's what makes the injury thing so shocking.
Well, he's been here for as long as he has, and in the beginning, that was his claim to fame: is that guys wouldn't get hurt. But we're playing a lot longer seasons now, boys, than we used to. So that has a lot to do with it too.
And the travel too is huge. You look at that's one thing about their current schedule that scares me. Is all the travel time. But I think Buffalo could be a 12-win team this year pretty easily.
Well, right now, you got Jacksonville coming in next week. That's a home Monday night game. Look at we've been, Thursday, Monday, Sunday, and then we got to play Houston. So we beat the Dolphins. We get Jacksonville here. We got to go to Baltimore, who doesn't look as good as everybody thought, but you guys fucking know that. And then we got to go to Houston. I think that's the big one for us.
I think that's going to be a tough game.
In the summertime, when I was looking at the schedule, I was saying, man, we get to Houston and we get out of there 3-2, we could cruise. So we're even.
I think it's
just even better than that.
How you match up with Houston. I don't think that Houston's a better team. I think that you match up really well with Houston. Like what we watched with Cincinnati and KC. Those two teams, they just match up really freaking well. You know what I mean? I think that KC is still the better team over Cincinnati.
We haven't played Stroud yet. He hasn't seen a McDermott-style defense yet. So, and as Nate knows, they're going to throw some way different coverages than he sees at the line of scrimmage, and he's going to have to make some split-second decisions. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be great football. And that's, we got a long way to go before that, but, obviously it's fun to talk about.
And he doesn't really like to go through his progressions that much. He likes to quick, and then just make it, which is good.
I mean,
and
with
bad,
that receiving core, man, holy cow, they are loaded. I mean,
yeah,
loaded. But I mean, we'll worry about them in a couple of weeks. But great game. It's nice to have the offense not have to save your ass and have Josh have to be Superman. As I said last week, it's okay. He can be Clark Kent, and we can still win, and that's exactly what happened.
Against a team playing at that level, yes.
What level is that? The NFL level?
No, high school.
Yeah.
So the Miami's high school.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they had tryouts before the game. Like, I think you got like some extra points in your next home ec class if you showed up.
Did the Ravens have some tryouts for their fucking offensive line that looked like, the
Ravens
my front door
played football,
that entire
man.
game? Oh, yeah. Oh, the Ravens were tough because we beat them.
Dude, you know that Miami did not play that
Yeah,
game.
because we own them. We own them.
You got to remember, too, the X factor is how was, it wasn't too long before that game when Tyreek Hill had a knee in his back for being a smart mouth with his car window.
Yeah,
so how
that's
did that,
true.
How did that affect his game? I mean,
Well,
he
don't be an asshole.
He balled out, actually. I mean,
Yeah,
it even motivated him.
The first week he did, the next week he...
Yeah, next week maybe not. He used it a lot.
Whatever. I mean, if you look at it, other than the postseason, which obviously matters, but his numbers in Miami, he hasn't done anything against us. So Bills secondary has done an incredible. Listen, when you got a midget quarterback throwing to a midget guy, as far as NFL goes, it's going to be very difficult to make those plays over a Sean McDermott defense that's playing zone that wants you to do it. So I don't know. It's just we own them because of it.
Tua threw for 483 yards that game. It wasn't like he wasn't throwing the ball. I mean,
what game?
Your stats last game.
No, he didn't. He did not have 400 yards. There's zero chance of that. So I don't know what you're looking at. That might be for the season. He was out in the third quarter. So you're telling me he had 400 yards? We beat him 31-10, and he only played 3 quarters. Yeah, he was. That was your last week. That's okay. That's okay. You make mistakes once in a while too.
Listen, I'm an Alabama guy.
Like the Dolphins.
I followed Tua through college, and I said the whole ride that I didn't think his game would translate to the NFL, and I stand by that. And furthermore, if I'm Tua, I'm hanging it up, man. He's made enough money.
Yeah. He's going to make more. He's got like $67 million guaranteed.
So
I think it's like 167, but he can't. Something about like his injury clause.
Well, because them Samoans are wild, man. Them Samoans are wild.
Samoan. He's not built like a Samoan, though.
But being a wrestling guy, PC will tell you, them Samoans are insane. They're a different breed of human being.
That judo he was taking was supposed to keep him from, having this happen. But when you run head down into the other team's safety, what do you expect to happen?
But Hamlin wasn't even expecting it at all.
No. Hamlin could have laid him out, and he did
thank God he didn't.
The more concussions you get, the worse it is. Like, you could see when he was down on the ground, you could see, his fingers doing that, the concussion thing.
Tightening up.
That's terrifying.
Awful.
I don't want these guys to hurt themselves to entertain me. I don't.
I've always said that. Like, I don't care what team you're on. I don't want you to get injured and all that. Like, I don't want that to happen.
I want you to go home to be able to play with your kids and watch them grow up. And
I want to beat you fair and square too. Like that's another part of it. And look, like you said, Nate. I mean, he was great in college, but I'm sure you could tell us the murderer's row of wide receivers that were on that team. Like, they're still all in the league. So it's not like...
Alabama sends more offensive players to the NFL than I think the next top 3 schools combined or something crazy like that.
And it's typically defensive, too. But for some reason, it's been wide receiver U lately, and it's amazing. So the nice thing is we don't really have to worry about them too much for the rest of this year, I would say. And it won't be long. And not only that, I feel like it won't be long until that locker room starts to turn on itself a little bit. A couple of points I want to make before we get off of this. Did you guys notice that the running back who was hurt, Achant played with the bum ankle, and Dude was still in late in the fourth quarter, right? And Herbstreit noticed this during the game. You got Waddle and you got Hill over on the bench, and they're dicking around, laughing their asses off, making all that dough. Obviously, like, could give a rat's ass about the game. Here he is, started the game with the injury, and he's still out there making plays and getting first downs. I couldn't believe, one, that McDaniel still had him in the game, and two, that, like, they kept putting the camera on Hill and Waddle like they wanted him to look like an asshole. And to be perfectly honest with, that's exactly what they did. They were trying to do that. And using his own teammate as an example against him was a perfect way to do it. I mean, it was interesting.
If you think all that stuff doesn't happen in the office, especially when, trade time is coming, the league is going to,
Everything
along with
matters.
NFL films and all of them people, they're going to do things like that because they have a narrative that they want to push.
Of course.
And the guys that aren't like us aren't going to see that.
No. No. So, I mean, great win. Obviously, I hope Tua is okay.
I'm stoked if I'm a Bills fan right now. I said, I'm stoked, but I'm tentatively nervous about the offense.
And the only reason I would be nervous is if he got hurt.
I would like to see one of the receivers really break out. And for whatever reason, Allen just didn't really seem to have it the last couple of seasons with Diggs. There's been a hole there. So he's got to find another true number one. Or, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't pick up Hunter Renfrow, honestly.
Yeah.
He would have been a great guy to play with Josh, I think.
He's been a bust, though. I mean,
I think he just doesn't.
A bust.
I think he's crazy.
He's been a bust.
Like, I think a lot of his problems are in his head. I don't know kind of what he's got going on, but
I think that Davis just kind of messed him up. I think that Carr always had him pumped up.
Carr got him killed
a golden boy for Carr.
And I'm a Carr guy.
Yeah.
I like Derek Carr.
But I think that Carr had him all pumped up, and I think that Davis just really tore the hell out of him. I mean, Davis tore everyone up on that team. I mean, Davis destroyed mentalities on that team. Yeah. But I think that he's just one of those victims, including Carr. I mean, he messed with Carr too. But
Carr
looks pretty good.
Cowboys last week.
He did.
Well, let me tell you, boys, the Saints might be the best team in the NFL, and nobody's even talking about it. Hell yeah. Their defense already was, and now they got Kamara healthy, and Carr actually looking like Carr used to.
Like he should play.
Yeah. I am not a Carr fan, but I mean,
always was a Carr
considering who we have,
you and I have had
we'd be balling out right now if we would have had Carr.
Oh,
so, yeah, we've definitely had arguments about Carr for sure. But we would be much better off with him right now.
I wonder how much money the Saints got. That could be the team that you guys could trade Devontae to finally and get some money back or actually get something out of it.
I think for Devontae to be super productive, you need that number one stud quarterback, and they don't have that.
I don't know. I actually have some notes on this game where I'm going to actually have some complaints about Devontae, which I'm sure will rile up any Raiders fan. But I have some complaints about Devontae that I've been seeing the past, season and a half now. I'm not nearly as enamored
not favorable
with
to him. If you watch any of that,
I'm not nearly as enamored. I mean, where's the yards after the catch out of him? I'm tired of this catch the ball and sitting down shit. Like where's the yards? I mean, Bowers is doing it. So when Adams gets that ball, there needs to be yards after that, especially with Minshew and O'Connell and all that. And he's not getting them. He's catching them and he's sitting down. Now, did he have some catches that only 4 people in this league could have? Absolutely, he did. But did he also drop a ball that everybody could catch? Yeah, he did. So it's I'm not as enamored with him as I used to be, and we could use the picks. Moving around Bills division, Jets game. I hate watching Will Levis play. Before we had a show, Crowley, remember I brought him up quite a bit. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the league? No. But I thought he would be a very, very good fit for Raiders. His play style, his attitude, I thought he would be good on the Raiders. Obviously, that didn't happen. And we're going to see what Tennessee does with him. I don't really feel like they're developing him very much, but
I don't
I
think
do.
they are either.
Will Levis and of course Mayfield are the two that I liked. That I think that they were both obtainable for us in our past history here, and we didn't make the jump on either of them. I mean, of course, the easiest obtainable one would have been to keep Carr. That would have been the easiest thing to obtain. Would have been just to keep him. I think that AP would have kept him for sure.
I think if it would have been his
I
option,
think
he
that.
would've.
Yes, if it was AP's choice, he would have kept him. I'm sure he is, still cursing out McDaniels for, taking away that quarterback option, for him when he's trying to put together a winning season. Rodgers did not look horrible. I think he's definitely got to move up back to being Rodgers again. He's certainly not, Aaron Rodgers.
He looks slow. He just looks slow.
37, 38?
40.
He's 40. Yeah, he's 40.
Yeah, and, I mean, he blew out his Achilles. I mean, if you got to give him 6.5, 7 seconds and have a bunch of real fast guys in front of him, and that's your only hope.
Yeah.
And their defense continue, and that's been the story of their franchise at least for the last 20 years is their defense keeping them in games, and that's exactly what they did against the Titans, who stink. And
they're terrible.
Yeah, but I don't think that was
130 yards or something like that last week. 136.
Rodgers threw for 176. Will threw for 192.
But he didn't make any mistakes. I mean,
Right.
if he can go out there and do that, and their defense could keep him in it, they're going to be trouble. But again, they played the Titans.
I don't think the Jets' defense lined up very well against the Titans. To tell you the truth, I was expecting a better defensive,
realistically, other than
strategy
Buffalo, they play in a
play.
soft division. AFC West, or
The East.
East.
Well, now
gonna,
it is. Now that their Kansas City Chiefs are out of their division, but
Well, we are the
Patriots
Kansas City Chiefs.
Now you are the Kansas City Chiefs, yeah.
Or the Pats. But I mean, look, regardless, you can be the bully. That's fine and whatever. But I don't know.
Until week 17.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you figure it out.
That's all. That's when it really, really matters. Is when when the playoffs start for sure, Nate. That's exactly right.
I will say for the Jets rushing, it was nice to not see them just give the ball to to Hall every single play. It looks like they are trying to use some of that running back core. I mean, they drafted 2 running backs this year, so you would think that they'd be pretty heavy on some diversity there with running backs. But they had Braylon out there. I love when they use Breece Hall. I have Breece Hall on both my fantasy teams. I love watching Breece Hall. He's one of those running backs that it doesn't matter how much I cannot stand the Jets. I will gladly watch Breece Hall do his thing. I mean, that guy
he's tough. He's tough.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
I mean, we're going to learn a lot about him. The Jets on Thursday night and New England. I can't wait to see. The winner of the game on Thursday night is going to be the team that I'm most concerned about in the division right now, because obviously, unless of course it turns into one of those 13-10 snoozers, and then I'm not worried about either one of them. But
Right.
I mean, that's the way both of those teams are going to want to play against you. Well, against us for sure. You just try to keep it close and see if someone makes a mistake. So it'll be on full display come Thursday night. The most boring football you can watch, and it'll turn out to be like some 42 to 40.
I think that your pass rushing is going to cause a lot of frustration for Rodgers. I think that your pass rushing is at that point,
especially that he's so slow now.
Yeah, I mean with his limited mobility and you're upping your pass rushing there, I think that's going to be a big problem for Rodgers. I think that Bills lining up with Jets. My biggest question would be can you stop that run? Are you going to be able to stop that run?
The Jets are going to have to figure out third down. I mean, and then I would. The running back position isn't as key as it used to be. So they're going to need a big game on third down from their tight end core. And they're going to have to get all them third and shorts. They're not going to be able to.
Good luck.
They're not going to have time for him to set up a deep ball.
No.
So they're going to have to build their game plan around that.
Yeah.
And
we
by
got
the time you guys play Jets, you would have had a chance to, to see them. And you play them, what, October 14th,
No.
it looks like.
I thought I think we play them. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Texans,
I'm thinking
Titans, Bills, Jets. Yes, you got some time to watch them. I mean, they got some time to watch you too. But I think that your defense is going to have them figured out by the time you get to October, and I think by then we're going to start seeing the downhill of Rodgers. The announcers I remember were like, "Oh, he's just rusty. He's going to get better." I don't.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the booth by October. Honestly,
it's going to take a hit. Yeah, he doesn't move like Brady was at Brady's age out there. You know what I mean? Like, we have someone to compare him with, age wise and everything else.
Right.
And Brady looked better out there at that age.
Yeah, but Brady never relied on his legs like Rodgers did. No. And now that's something that he doesn't have, he's screwed. He's going to have to play out of the pocket. And guess what? When, like Nate said, his drops are very slow because of the Achilles injury. He's setting himself up to be for disaster. And
I hate to bring it back. I read a crazy stat about Josh Allen today that he's like something crazy like 16 out of 22 when he's running above 14 miles an hour, and that's a huge stat that you could be running that fast and throw a football. So yeah. I don't think Aaron Rodgers can make a throw running period right now.
Yeah.
Period.
No, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to run, period.
So,
and that was crucial for any success that he had when they had those 3rd and 7s and they would blitz and he'd beat the blitz and he'd run around and run in the first down. He would do it all the time. And, he can't do it anymore. He just can't.
He would throw offhand running, when he was flushed out, that's over for him. So
it's just, and he didn't play last season. They still aren't even glued yet, and I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot to ask. There are some huge expectations in New York, and I don't know if it'll be in the booth, Nate, but I just don't see him, having the success that all these, talking heads on television think he's going to have.
I think he's wearing a headset by mid-season.
We'll see.
It's going to take. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. He couldn't take the beating from Crosby that Lamar just took. No, he couldn't take that beating. So it's gonna and Von Miller. I mean, he ain't gonna take Von Miller beating up on him like that. I'll tell you that much.
Nope.
And that's the
Von
thing.
Miller's gonna get to him a couple times for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And your boy Crosby is on the field every play. The Bills are rotating. Like, you're gonna have guys that just ran their ass, sacked this guy, and then another guy who's fresh legs is gonna come in and do it again. Like, it's such a great problem to have right now, and respect it.
Unfortunately, I think that we're going to get one of those moments where, we're going to go to commercial break after a hit and we're going to be gone for a little bit. I think that, we have that possibility with him out there. And it really had nothing to even do with his age, just, with the injury and with, what we're seeing and how he's looking.
That Achilles is tough, man.
I mean, he's in danger of and for me, I feel sad about it because I always, there's a few guys that you wish they would have retired in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Related to that for me was always Brett Favre. Brett Favre should have gone out a Packer. I mean, it bothered me. I didn't like the way Michael Jordan went out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a time when you really should go out. We were talking about this morning with Kelsey, Nate, where I was saying, Kelsey is nowhere anymore. Get that 3-peat and then get out and then spend all your time with Taylor and your podcast and your new little hats you're wearing and shit. Yeah, do all that, but get the 3-peat first and then get out.
That's a tough ask, man. I can't. That's almost impossible.
Fuck that dude. He ain't getting 3. No way. You see how much weight his brother lost? Holy shit, he looks like a wholly different person.
Well, yeah.
Walking around with his shirt off doing commercials. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, those guys are eating a crazy amount of calories.
Hell yeah. and all the other stuff they're putting in their body.
Oh yeah.
So Bills fans, you don't really feel you're worried about Jets. I'm not worried about Jets for Bills fans. Besides the fact that it's a divisional thing. Besides that, but
Nate, how long have you lived in Buffalo? For a long time, right?
Yeah, my whole life I've been.
The Jets Bills games are always exactly the same. No matter who's the quarterback, no matter who we're playing against, it's always that 22 to fucking 20 game or that 24 to 19 game. It's always that.
They're a trap-off game for them, you know.
And
it
and especially since we've had success. Now, you know, we beat up on them a little bit, but they've got our number, and when they have, they've made Josh look bad. So I think all the narrative about Josh's turnover shit and everything last year.
He's going to make some mistakes.
Of course, but it all started in that Jets game on Monday night. Like, the whole world saw him, you know, trying to throw it into the back of the end zone. The guys who watch him every week, like us, know he doesn't. I mean, that was for whatever reason was going on in that first game last year.
He just does that. He's going to take that chance. But sometimes it's going to work.
You know how many interceptions he's got this year?
None yet.
That many.
I mean, listen, it's week going into week 3. He's going to have some.
I'm of course he is. I want him. I don't want to say I want him to, but it's
it's part of the experience.
If he's going to throw 35 touchdowns, he's going to throw 8 interceptions. That's just the way that it goes. I get it.
I can live with that as a fan.
Me too.
I'm not even
because he's going to fucking run for 22. So that's always what helps.
So Raiders game, of course, every Raiders fan is grinning ear to ear this week. I mean, I said on our show last week, nah, there's no way. We don't have a chance. No one get excited. And then, wow. Yeah, my wife was concerned for me towards the end of the game because, and as a Bills fan, you'll appreciate this. She thought the game was over. Like there's like a minute and a half. Like she thought the game's over. I'm like, no. Like there's 10 seconds on the clock, and I'm not willing to accept it. Yeah, I'm not willing to accept that.
Fan, that's just when the game's getting good anyway because they're always taking games down to the wire.
Yeah,
and they're
Yeah, it ain't over. You know, Minshew, 276 yards, 30 for 38. You know, he's still getting on the Raiders forums. It's still going on and on about, you know, we want O'Connell. As I've said on the show,
but you will
multiple
see that
times.
On the Raiders forums. You know,
on the Raiders forums. But Minshew is the guy that we need because of our offensive line. If we had an offensive line, we could go with that. We could go with Aiden, but we don't.
Well, that's you know, I was going to bring that point up. Colton Miller was, I mean, just a complete failure that game. He got beat for what, 3 sacks, something like that, and just looked awful. And theoretically, he's one of the best offensive linemen in the league on paper, but man, he didn't show up last week.
And we're still waiting to see Jackson Powers there. We're still waiting to see like what is he going to mean for this offense. I mean, we bought this package and we haven't been able to freaking unwrap it yet. We haven't even gotten to see him in a preseason game or barely a practice. No. So I don't know if Jackson Powers is going to, you know, be a big thing for, for our offensive line. I also feel like we're more than one guy away though from that amazing offensive line. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm hopefully he'll help. But
Richie Cognito can only teach him so many tricks, you know. I mean, he's doing some coaching there now. I mean, Minshew's starting to get rid of the ball faster. He's starting to go through his progressions a little better.
He's still definitely not seeing the field. I don't know if it shouldn't be a nerves thing. I mean, he's been out on these fields before. He's just not. You can tell he's not. Seeing all of his reads.
You know, he's 6 games deep, 8 games deep. But he come in last year at the end, right? So
yeah, no.
And now they've got different personnel, some different packages.
That was the thing that was enlightening about that game.
Like we talked about, is going away. So you're going to have a tough time, depending on.
Well, someone needs to tell that to Getsy and AP. I mean, AP wanted to be that classic Raiders, ground and pound. We own it, and that's not where we're at.
I think that Brock Bowers is going to take care of some of that as he comes into his own. they're going to be able to get that short yardage, and after the catch with him, they're going to have to run.
If they start utilizing it towards the end of the game,
they were.
We finally got to see an offense that was playing to some of our strengths. Getsy, my biggest problem with this team is Getsy. Above the offensive line, everything else, my biggest problem with this team is Getsy. The offense is extremely predictable, and we're not capitalizing on the strengths that we have. Unfortunately, with both of our quarterbacks, we don't have a very big pile of strengths right now.
No.
We have to focus on what we have. We have an offensive line that's not holding the line. We have Minshew that can kind of throw on a run. He needs these creative tight end routes and these quick drops, and that will open up Devontae. If we keep on pulling him in with Bowers, that's going to open him up.
Brock Bowers for them 6 to 8 yard gains, and then if they can get into like a second and short position, then they can take some shots at Devontae. But like you said earlier,
which is what they started to do.
He's going to have to own it. He's going to have to put in that work after the catch now. And if he's not doing that, they're going to stop throwing to him, and they're going to start throwing to the Brock Bowers more, and they're going to start looking for other outlets because. That's why I think you're going to see more of Brock Bowers last week. You can do all kinds of great shit in practice, and it don't matter. Until they see it in a game, they're not going to start calling those plays into in-game situations. But now they're going to start calling that more, I think.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see Bowers out there. I mean, as a Georgia guy, I've enjoyed watching him, and I love watching him in black and silver. I'm actually not a really huge fan of Carson Beck. Everyone's like, well, if Carson Beck gets up here, then we'll have the duo together again. You know, Carson Beck is okay. He's not really what I would be excited about for a quarterback, but I'm very excited to have Bowers. But he has to be utilized like he is our Kelsey, our old Kelsey.
I think Brock Bowers is going to be a problem. I think he
needs to be, and we need to start incorporating those plays. And I like the play calling for when we did pass to Devontae. Those were good plays. Those were good calls, good passes, good times to use them. I think if we would have started utilizing Bowers earlier in the game, we could have also utilized Adams earlier in the game. Unfortunately, we did both. Luckily, it was before it was too late. Wins are good. I'm not like a win is a win and I'm happy with it kind of guy. I just never have.
No.
I feel that we did deserve that win. I feel good about that win. It wasn't, you know, like I feel good about it. I wouldn't have felt good about it if we wouldn't have seen a change in the second half. If we would have kept on playing how we were and we still won, I wouldn't have felt good about it.
That was like the first time in
fourth quarter
games
especially
they'd come back from a 10-point deficit. So I feel good about that.
Yeah. We were actually, you know, utilizing our personnel. We had some creative plays. The stupid trick plays that Getsy, those were all failures. Like knock that off. Just get Bowers open, give him the ball, and let him get those yards after. Every time Devontae is open, you got to hit him. And open for Devontae is two people on him. I'm fine with that. It does not need to be a one-on-one or an open. I'm fine with giving him those balls when it's 2-on-1 and it's an impossible somehow catch.
Is Minshew's arm strong enough to hit him when he's got his coverage smoked?
No. It's not. So, that was Aiden's skill. Aiden's skill was that ball downfield, you know, in that tight corner. That was his skill. But his skill is not utilized if they're crashing through our offensive line because Aiden can't move for anything. So we're not going to have that with Minshew. What we will have with Minshew is, you know, that scramble pass, which unfortunately that's our offense now. Scramble pass, and I would like to see us stop using the, you know, Zamir White check down for no yards. That needs to stop as well. If we're going to pass the ball, get it to a tight end, you know, get it out. Myers too. Like I love Myers. Myers needs to be utilized more in this game, and he's not being utilized. He's been open a few times there that game that he was not head up for a target, and Myers has been very dependable. You know, our strength is not on the run right now. Last year, Zamir balled out for those last games. I mean, he was hitting it hard, but this year, Zamir White is not doing that for us. He's not. I would like to see Madison out there more. I'd like to see what Madison can bring to the table. We know what we have with Abdullah. I like Abdullah for what Abdullah is used for. I would much rather see Abdullah on a check down scenario than Zamir White. I think Abdullah does much better with that. Zamir is the power through kind of guy. And Madison is also the power through kind of guy, and I think it's time. I'd like to see Madison out there. I mean, you notice when we needed that touchdown, they brought Madison out there, and they had him run it in. They didn't bring White out there. So let's see Madison out there more. We're still down Malcolm Kuntz. That doesn't help. I would say that being down Tyree Wilson doesn't help, but I'm not sure it really matters.
I don't think it does.
I don't really know. I mean, he's been fairly useless. I don't really know how much we're hurting to be down Wilson. Definitely a blow with Kuntz, and we don't know how much we're hurting being down Jackson Powers because we don't know what he can do yet.
Yeah, we got to.
We might be really taking a disadvantage by not having him out there, or he might not make a difference at all. I don't know.
I was watching, and the one thing that I was thinking that should be happening more often is more shots to Devontae. Just take a shot, maybe get a flag. The Ravens had 11 penalties in that game. You guys only had maybe 2 or 3, I think. So,
and that's been our thing under AP. That's been the thing.
Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the other way around. Yep. And if you've got, opportunities in man-to-man with him, and you've already got refs that are kind of trigger-happy with the flag, you should be taking some more shots to them. That's one thing that I noticed as I watched. And then also, Baltimore's offensive line is absolutely terrible. And your pass rush is awesome from the edges. Obviously Crosby's your boy. You've made that very clear on this show.
I love Crosby.
Doesn't
get mentioned, but yeah.
The dude is a stud. He loves his team, and it's super fun to watch. And
Spillane too, though, man. I can watch Spillane do his thing all game, man. I love Spillane. Spillane is a great guy out there. The guy that I want to see gone, and actually James, who we have on the show, he's not a fan of him either. He said it too. Is freaking Diablo. Diablo is he's not showing up. He missed some key hits last game and some whiffs, and then he's not making. I don't mind a whiff if you make up for it, but he's not. Yeah. He's really not doing much for us out there,
man. All the time, but he's gonna get you 2 sacks a game and 8 hurries.
And make you double and lean to him. That's the thing that is just it's so obvious to watch because he's the lone weapon, and that whole offense will have that extra guy over his helmet almost every single time.
And I think a lot of times when they're not going for it on a 4th and 1 or short yardage situation, I think they want to put their best player on the field, and that's Max Crosby. I think they're like, well, we're going to put him on the field, and maybe he's going to force a fumble, and we're going to get the ball back. Or
I think
the coaches are going to go to where they're facing.
Just his presence out there, I think, makes people nervous. You know what I mean? I think just him being out on the field starts making some people a little bit nervous about that.
It's easy to say you got to believe in your offense, but
he fixed Minshew. He fixed Minshew in that game. Yeah. Minshew was utterly defeated.
He was shook.
And then Crosby talked to him, and he came out there, and he freaking played hard.
And that's intangible.
Crosby was that guy.
There's them guys that have that killer instinct, and they have that will to win that makes you better.
Nate, you're touching on, I'm guessing, week 1. Yes. So do you think that Pierce's decision to punt was good, or would you have went for it on 4th down?
I probably would have punted. You want your best guys on the field to give you the best chance. And
really?
You can hate me for it, and you can be mad about it, but
no one with that many tattoos would have punted.
But I would have punted to put the game in the hand of a guy with that many tattoos, which is mad. So I'm thinking, maybe we get a big hit, maybe we get a fumble, maybe maybe my defense is going to make something happen here. You can't put faith in people that aren't giving you nothing to put faith in.
I mean,
if they're not making those plays, why are you going to count on them to make those plays?
Because you might not be able to get back over there again. That's the only thing.
And you count on them all game.
I get it if they're, if
it's
early.
You want the best player on the field.
Okay, but he ain't going to throw or catch a touchdown, that's for sure. I don't know. I just feel like in that position, with the time on the clock, fourth quarter, you got to go for it there. Otherwise,
remember, AP was a linebacker. He's a defensive guy.
I'm not saying. Listen, man, we got a guy who does that sometimes too. Yeah. Yeah, and one more thing, we've got a friend that's a Baltimore fan, and he told me.
That guy, huh?
No. He told me the weaknesses were the offensive line and the cornerback position, and he was spot on right. They were very suspect in both of those areas, had a ton of penalties there too, and look at, man, I think the Bills exposed Miami just as much as the Raiders exposed the Ravens. I don't think that the league is super afraid of him. I'm so sick and tired of everybody jumping on the Lamar bandwagon. I just don't get it. I don't.
What made him good?
He looks good for most of the game, but he makes big mistakes in key moments. He makes big mistakes key moments.
I mean, when he had that first MVP. And he was going to Andrews quite a bit, and they were using that, just that eye offense, just banging Ingram up the middle, and they were, that offense was very, very strong. But yeah, Derrick Henry maybe 6 years ago would fit in, but right now, it just brings another guy into the box, and it's making it easier for defenses to prepare for him. And then when your offensive line already is struggling, I mean, they're going to key in on the guys that suck right now. And we talked about it last week. That division, there's no mercy. I mean, you already have the Ravens and the Bengals are 0-2. You know that they're going to beat the shit out of each other as the season goes on. So I don't know. I feel like the Ravens are going to end up being a team that people are going to be very surprised at the end of the season.
I think they're going to come out.
I thought coming into this year that they were going to be a Super Bowl kind of level team. I really thought that this year they were going to kind of get it together, between,
their injuries are bad too. Their injuries are killing them just like everybody else.
I mean,
one of the things I was really happy with this game was AP seemed to finally have some faith in his players. You could tell that at key moments he started putting the ball in his playmakers' hands and letting them play. And we had talked last week about he's got to do that. That's like a Raiders thing of, you gotta have that faith in your team. And I feel like, he did this game. I feel like he grew as a coach. That game against the Ravens, he stayed calm. He let his team, do their thing, and the team responded back with getting the job done. So I hope that continues, because I think that there needs to be more gelling. We've said it before. This team was not going to be fixed in one draft and 1 year of AP. That was not going to fix this team. So. For some reason, like the new kind of it's like Bills Mafia is changing the Bills crowd. This new wave of Raiders Nation people, they're just so whiny. I mean, it's every game. Even when we win, I'm on the forums and they're complaining about us winning the game.
That's been a thing since the '90s, man. Every
Get off the forums. You're a real fan now. You don't need to go on those stupid forums.
I like to keep finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Twitter's the worst.
But they just whine so much. Like Minshew sucks. It's like we just beat the Ravens. Like Minshew sucks.
Everybody wants something to hate. No matter what you love, you want something to hate about it because you
hate the other team. Say Lamar sucks.
But you want
don't say our guy sucks.
So that people will chime in. You get that little endorphin rush of people liking your post, or
Yeah.
Or just pissing off the people you work with in general, or it's always going to be there. Something to complain about in football is always going to be there, especially if you live in this town.
In the 90s. Hated him. Took him to 4 Super Bowls, and they hated him. They wanted to run that guy out of town and give Frank Reich the reins.
Well, there was other reasons for that, though. Don't forget. He didn't want to come here right away, too. You know that, though, Nate.
Yeah. But all in all, I was happy with the win for the reason that I saw some growth out of AP. I saw the offense changing a little bit to where it needs to be. Getsy will never be my guy for sure. I'm hoping that this is his last year, but it was nice to see some new offensive scheming there and utilizing. I felt like Brock Bowers was on the sideline saying, "Yeah, I've been telling you guys. Like, why haven't I gotten the ball before this? This is what I've been telling you to do."
If the Raiders make the playoffs, even as a wild card, I'm happy, and I'm going to call it a successful year. If I get an extra week or two of football to watch this year, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, especially with AP's first year at the reins here, and taking the team that he had. I mean, even just the morale of the team where it was.
Well,
you know what I mean?
He's a Raider, man. He's going into the stadium in a lowrider, and he's cursing and.
But he's got to win the games too. We've said that on this show. You can't be just the Flava Flav of the NFL. Like you got to win the games.
Well, I think
that Baltimore was a really big confidence boost for him as a coach.
I think
it showed Davis something.
And believing in him. And
he does. Huge. He definitely does. And hopefully that's also going to attract the right players as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, they're going to want to come play for
that's
him.
what we're selling. Yeah. So moving into our division, Broncos, I'm not gonna really bother with.
Broncos.
Yeah. Luckily, they're not a contender in our division. We don't need another one. No. So luckily, they can just keep on doing what they're doing. That's great. I like everything about it. I mean, the Steelers are really not playing very well right now, and they still made Denver look bad. So I don't think we got to worry about Denver. The Chargers game, unfortunately, I don't really feel like we learned anything from that game because it's the Panthers. You know what I mean? I would like to learn. Luckily, we have a very long time, January, I believe, until we see the Chargers again. So we have a lot of time to watch that and take them, at least 1 for 2 here. But I keep my eye on the Chargers a lot, and we didn't really learn anything that game. The Chiefs game, it was interesting. I enjoyed it as a game. I thought it was a good game. As we said, these two teams line up really well. Yeah, they do. We already brought up the Kelsey thing. That was one of my biggest questions watching the game is where's Kelsey? Well, I mean, maybe he's injured. Maybe he's playing hurt. I don't know.
Them being the invincible Chiefs that they were.
No, they've lost some of the magic.
They're using other tight ends. They're bringing in other guys, and especially Pacheco went on the IR today. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he's going to be out for 4 to 8. So I don't see them running the ball. They're not going to run the ball as effortlessly as they were doing, it seemed, at the end of last year without him in the lineup. And obviously they're already down some receivers. So
I think they're really feeling that Mahomes-Rice connection. I think that I think both of them, Mahomes and Rice, I think that they're really feeling that connection.
And they're blessed that Rice didn't get, his charges against him for leaving the scene of that accident. Like he shouldn't even be playing this year. That was ridiculous. So I talk about another thing that went their way to help them continue to win. There's another thing that you can add to the pile.
I was going to bring that up man, I hate being that guy, the referee conspiracy guy, but goddamn, man, it's hard not to be that guy when you're watching a Chiefs game. It's like we were talking about earlier was the narrative. Is the league pushing this narrative still?
Nate, I don't know if you listen to any of the local guys, but this morning one of them had a stat that was unbelievable, that Mahomes has 17 interceptions that came back because there was pass interference on the play. And he leads the league. He's ahead of everyone by almost double. So that just goes to show right off. I mean, that may not be anything other than that's just the way it is, but it's something. It's definitely something. It's got to be something.
And watch how the lines move. Is it gambling?
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about that last week.
When you and I were kids, you couldn't even mention the spread during an NFL telecast.
Yeah, they go to like a dark
thing.
bar. Yeah. Now
know,
you got soccer moms on their phone making bets every week.
No, he's right. I mean, it was like the hush-hush thing that no one was allowed to talk about, and obviously now that's
like you were
completely
stoked
flipped
if you could
upside
find
down.
football parlays where you worked.
Yes,
You know?
and now like it's a nature of the beast. And when you have guys like that who have calls going his way quite a bit, you got to scratch your head and wonder if there's any money involved.
Oh, there's for sure there's money involved. But the thing is, it's hard to pay athletes because they already make so much, unless they already have a habit, unless they have a gambling habit of their own.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you pay the officials. Like that's just always been the way.
Yeah, it's sad.
I thought that, Mahomes out there, I thought Mahomes missed some opportunities that he would have capitalized on last year that
For
that
sure.
he did not hit this year. That third quarter run I thought was really odd. I mean, he could have easily ran upfield and grabbed that down and maybe even gone past that, and he didn't take it. He didn't take the chance. He threw it out of bounds and just kind of called it a play. He's playing a little differently.
different.
I mean, he's doing the pump fake thing while he runs out of bounds and stuff. He's not taking as much on his shoulders, which is good if you want Mahomes to be around, for a while.
I'm
It's
not-
definitely a different team.
I'm not. I mean, listen. I also wanted to be said. Okay, with the flag being thrown is one thing. The Bengals fumbled for a touchdown and missed a freaking extra point, so they had their chances. They could have definitely taken the larger lead, made the Chiefs have to use up some of their timeouts, things like that. But that's not the way that it works. It just seems like the narrative is, oh, the Chiefs got the ball at the end of the game. Okay, sweet. Butker's going to make a 50-yard field goal, and that's it. And we're going to go to our cars and be pissed off about it. And that's happened so many times in the last couple of years that I think NFL fans are just getting sick of it.
Yep, I agree.
It's unfortunate for us that we're seeing the Chiefs so late this season, because our biggest problem to beat the Chiefs would have been Pacheco. I mean, we could not stop a run for nothing.
Yeah,
so
but-
I would have liked to see the Chiefs down Pacheco just to help out our horrible run defense. But we're not. Odds are at least that we're not going to see that. On the other side of the ball, Burrow, I don't know what happened to him, man. He's like, you got to stop frosting your hair
I was
and
just gonna
start
say that. You beat me to the
practicing
frosted
again.
tips joke.
I mean, like, all he needed is a visor and a puka necklace, and I would have been back in high school again. I mean, I just
Was that your style?
Game. No,
You were
it's not my style.
You were a puka
Yeah.
visor guy? I never
Oh,
had that.
of course. Yeah, puka
He for
visor.
sure
all
Goes
the
was
way.
real good with Raiders
Up in
gear.
his locker.
Well, it did when McDaniels was the coach. Visors were in when he was the coach. But both teams are not playing, how they used to. I'm not going to say. I think Cincinnati, I'll say, is a shell of the team that they were. Kansas City is not quite to that point, but they've definitely lost some magic. It gave me a little bit of hope for seeing them
They could beat
in
Kansas
October. We have a
That's
lot
not
that we got to fix before then, but we got time to fix it before
They
then.
smacked the shit out of them last year.
Yes.
I think two things. The Bengals always, with Burrow, have started off slow. They've been 0-2 a bunch of times. I think they've only won, I don't know what it is. They may be like 1-11 in the last couple of years, and starting in week 1 and week 2. Like, it's bizarre. And then they come back and they do just fine. But I don't know, like, getting behind the 8 ball this early in the season with another team in your division that also did it means that, and those are the two teams that were supposed to be good. Right. Meanwhile, Cleveland and Pittsburgh are ahead of you in the standings. I love that they're going to battle for them playoff spots now, and that's how teams like the Raiders are going to be able to sneak in, because those teams are just going to kick the shit out of each other all season.
Yep. And that's, I mean, this year, we're not blazing a trail to the playoffs. So if we do make it in there, it's going to be, that scenario, especially with losing to the Chargers. It would have been nice if we would have. I would almost would have rather beaten the Chargers.
You want that division win. You always do. You're right.
It would have been nice. If we were 1-2 with Chargers right now, then I'd be having some faith with our whole division deal. But then again, I mean, I'm going to say Ravens are a better team than the Chargers, and we beat them because we changed up our strategy. Yep. So let's see how that goes. Next week, I'm not worried about our schedule, at all. If we lose, next week, it'll be pretty depressing.
It's your home opener, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Home opener.
Yep. What I would like to see from us, against the Panthers, I'd like to see playing around with that new offense a little bit more. I think that Panthers are a good team for us to get a confidence boost and continue on from that Raven win. I think it gives us a chance to see some new looks with Bowers out there more. Also, Mayer is an extremely good tight end. I mean, he can catch the ball. I think, with those two, Mayer is obviously our more of our blocking tight end. Bowers has never been, that kind of blocking guy. But Mayer can definitely catch the ball too. So I want to see some more looks with tight ends. I want to see less of the Zamir White 0-yard check down stuff happening. I want to get Myers in this game. And obviously, I always want to get Devontae in this game. I think that we have a chance to, to put a hurt on him.
If they can use Brock Bowers to get him, in a short second down situation, then it's going to open up that Devontae Adams ball.
Yep.
So you got to be looking for 6 to 8 yards on first down with those guys.
Yep, which I was hoping we were going to be able to do with, Zamir. I was hoping that, Zamir was going to get us those 5 or 6 yards off the bat, and then we were going to, trudge up the field. But that's not happening, and I think that part of that is on our offensive line. I also feel that part of that is Zamir White is not seeing the openings. It's easy to see him when you're watching a slow motion, replay, of course, sitting on your couch. But I'm also not being paid what he's being paid to see that in real time. So you got to be able to see those openings in real time, and I don't think he's seeing all of those. So I think that's on both of them.
Bryce Young out. You know that, right? Bryce Young, they benched him. It's going to be Andy Dalton starting for Carolina this week. So you're going to get a different look at a different quarterback. And Bryce Young, who I believe was the number 1 pick in the draft last year, benched week 3 in his second season, which is
after disappointing his first season.
Rough. So you guys will be seeing a veteran.
All you Raiders fans that wanted Bryce Young, you can stop talking now.
Or did Andy Dalton have a cup of coffee with the Raiders? Did he come through town for you guys?
He did.
Yeah, I thought so. So you'll have the ginger snap out there going against you.
We were asking anybody that could throw a ball to come have coffee.
Yeah,
we were going to go in the stands.
I would really, really hope home opener, big win after Baltimore. You guys come home, you take care of business, and you really
it could really start some momentum too. After the Ravens, we whoop on Panthers here. I could really start that momentum. I like our upcoming schedule. We got Panthers, then we got Broncos. Rams give us a problem, but if we can knock out Panthers and Broncos,
give Arizona
figure
much
out
of a
that
problem.
offense. No, they did not. I see we got what? We got Panthers, Broncos, Rams, Browns, Steelers, and then we go into Chiefs. There's no reason why we can't go into Chiefs with a bucket full of wins headed into Chiefs. We'll see how it goes, but these are very beatable games that we have, ahead of us. Very winnable games. So
we had the exact opposite. I don't know about opposite, but certainly a much more difficult stretch. We won't play anybody that stinks for a couple of weeks. We got obviously Jacksonville may consider to be stinky so far.
Not for you guys though. It's that thing. You know what I mean? But I will say that if we take the whole England trick shit out of it.
And I was just going to say, we haven't had them at home in a long time, and Lawrence has never played.
It's going to be a different scenario. It's going to be a different scenario.
So, stop the run next week. continue to put pressure on him. He was terrible against Cleveland. Cleveland runs a lot of the same base that we do, make you, give that shell look and make him have to make some tough decisions. If they can't run the ball, I mean, we should pound them into the ground. Obviously, the stadium is going to be absolutely rocking after a big 2-0 start like this, Monday Night Football. All eyes on us. You would hope that they come out and take care of business and do it quickly. I know, like you do, G, Jacksonville has historically given us a little bit of a tough go. So they're 0-2, and they need it really, really bad. The Bills want to keep it rolling, and it's a great matchup. I like our chances, obviously, with the way things have started. And like I said, if we can stop that run, get the lead, and make him have to make some tougher decisions, it should be a good night for the Bills defense, secondary,
and he always folds under pressure. And I understand it's not a playoff game, but in that stadium, with like you said, rolling in on your 2 wins, that game is going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be a very intimidating field to be playing on.
Nate, I got a question for you. What do you think of Lawrence? I know you're an SEC guy and obviously follow Alabama quite a bit. What would you guys say about Lawrence's demise in the last couple of seasons? Well, at least last year.
The NFL is not the SEC, man. Like, it's just a whole different level of competition. I don't think he's got the football mind for it. The guys that are most successful are the most coachable guys. And I don't think that physically he could do it for sure. But
So you think the elevator stops at the 19th and doesn't make it all the way up to the 26th, basically, is what you're saying?
That's 100% what I think. I just think that
he makes some very dumb decision
making
for sure.
When you're a Division I guy, especially in like the SEC or the big conferences, you're used to being the very best guy all the time. And then when
you think he always was, you're right.
And when you come into the league and now you're just an average guy, you're a regular guy. So you have to find that extra gear. And the guys that find that extra gear,
he hasn't developed as a player.
Tom Brady.
He just hasn't.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Max Crosby came from nowhere and pushed himself to that next level.
And puts himself in the classroom, and he's watching tape, and he's doing all the things that he's doing.
I mean, we're talking this morning. For Crosby, there is no off season.
No, never.
Every day is football day. There is no off season. There's no chilling out. There's no I'm going to take a break. No, every day is football day for him. So
and training and resting and massages and they say when they see him on the compound, he's the first guy there all the time. He's got his big bag of supplements and food and his tablet all the time.
So as far as Jacksonville's threats go, obviously ETN is a good running back that we're going to have to be prepared for.
He's streaky though.
He's smaller too.
I don't have him on fantasy anymore because he's really streaky, and he can definitely be contained. Or he can ball out, but he's definitely not like a force like Pacheco or even like Cook is becoming. But he's not that kind of force. We got containable.
Brian Thomas, obviously a receiver they're going to have to watch out for, and Gabe Davis, who I think the Bills will have something dialed up for him when he's out on the field for sure.
There's Gabe Davis. There's going to be some feeling there.
It's a game early in the season. They've already shut a lot of people the fuck up. I think it would be a great way to end week 3 to go out there, smash Jacksonville into the ground, and then just get ready for the big showdown on Sunday night against the Ravens. So we'll see.
Well, it should be interesting. We will be back next week to talk about how these games went. We're also planning. We're currently planning on doing a special thing on a Monday night where we watch the Bills game live and do the show during the Bills game on a Monday here. So we'll keep you posted on that and have a new.
I don't know
show
if my
for you.
heart will be able to handle that, but we'll see how it goes.
I think it'll be fun. You know,
Well,
I mean,
well, yeah,
it'll
for
be
you.
fun to watch. Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be fun to watch for me. Yeah,
Oh my God.
listen to. Yeah.
From what I was told, your wife had to peel you off of the wall yesterday. You were so nervous about what was going on. So
Gio's not high strung at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the everyone be quiet. Stop talking, stop moving.
when the offense was on the field, he was telling his family to be quiet.
Yeah.
He's got this going.
I was yelling at I was yelling at Minshew because Minshew was smiling. Like, why are you smiling? Don't be smiling. I don't care if there's 25 seconds left. You stop smiling right now. This is not a smiling moment. Don't you understand? We can lose it all. And then Lamar took off on that run, and only Lamar would scare me that much on a quarterback running like that. And I thought, it's over. He's going to somehow do it. He's somehow going to jump over everybody, and he's going to do it.
Well,
But he didn't
you
do it.
got the big win, boys. Congratulations. And Nate, thanks for coming on the show, man. You were
Anytime,
great.
guys.
It was
All
great
right.
having you. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on there again. Thank you for joining us. Check out our other shows on the channel. We have a bunch of them during the postseason where we talked about different elements of the NFL, some of the things that we brought up tonight. So check those out. Of course, we had our show last week. It was our first show with the explicit tag. So we got to kind of be a little bit more lively on the show now. We changed it up a
lively.
little bit.
I like that.
Lively, yeah.
America, fuck yeah.
More like us. For those of you guys that like watching on YouTube, check out our Bills and Bones page on YouTube. We are on every provider. If you like listening to audio, we are on everyone. So do a search for Bills and Bones, and you will find us. We are on Twitter as well. Those numbers have been going up each week. We've been getting some people, so thank you for that. Check us out. Nate, any shout outs there?
Follow me at Nate FXDX on Instagram, and you can see some of my wrestling shit posting and motorcycle shit posting and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you might gain a fan in PC over there because he likes wrestling. So
I was going to say, I'm not the motorcycle guy, but I'll mess with wrestling all day,
Western
baby.
Yeah,
York
he'll
guy,
mess with
go
wrestling.
to Uncle Buck's Crafts Kitchen and ask for the chopped cheese sandwich. It's not on the menu. It's not coming out till next week, but it'll change your life.
Let
go
me
there
know,
on a
Nate.
Friday
I'm
and
gonna
get that
check it
fish
out.
fry. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going. When you come up here, G, we'll go check it out.
Okay. Everybody, have a good night.
We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.